Hi everyone, it's Giselle with a message for today, and this is a full moon in Gemini energy update for what I've experienced and also a ton of my clients. I also want to say thank you all for your patience with me getting all of your readings and healings to you, because ever since I have promoted my Black Friday sale, I've been snowed under, so it's taken me longer than my normal turnaround period, so I am sorry for keeping you waiting. But as you know, energy work can't be rushed, and I have to do this when the time is right. Also, some of you have been emailing and texting me thinking I've dropped off the face of the earth. I haven't. I'm still here. I've just been inundated with a ton of stuff, like university work, and then all of my readings had a backlog. Slowly getting through it, so you will be receiving yours, fingers crossed, over the weekend at the latest, hopefully. But please don't hold me to that, because I'm really, really trying hard to get it all done. Anyway, so I wanted to talk about some energy updates, things that I've experienced, things that some of my clients have experienced over this last full moon that was present last night, the night before. So it's been very interesting, I would say, this full moon in Gemini. There have been a lot of energies that have come out. It's like, to me, and what I've experienced, I've been through a lot of energies that don't feel like they fully belong to me. Like, I'm very calm usually, very logical, and able to think about things quite rationally, keep my cool, stay very calm. But for the past week and a bit, I've had this crazy, overwhelming urge to really express myself opposite to how I would normally behave. And so there's been a lot of anger. That's been my predominant emotion. And I'm not normally very angry. And I don't hold grudges, and I don't don't stay angry for very long. But when I did have this anger, it burst out over the full moon days, Yesterday and the day before, I was raging. And I discovered that I had grounds for being angry at the people that I was angry towards, but it had a deeper rooted resentment that had been building up from years and years ago. And the emotions that I dealt with, the root for my anger is basically feeling let down, feeling unsupported, feeling like the people that were involved in me being so angry couldn't ever defend me, couldn't ever stick up for me. I never felt truly supported by them because I felt like they had no backbone. And I normally deal with them in a very passive way. And I usually do sweep it under the rug because these are people who are, well, it's mainly a father figure. And, the way that I've been brought up is you should always respect your parents, you shouldn't talk against them, you shouldn't think ill of them, you shouldn't, be angry or store resentment or any of that kind of stuff. So because I was brought up in that way, I swept everything under the carpet. But now everything's just come flooding out, exploding out. And when I expressed myself, I did it to them directly. I said, you know what, I'm not going to write these letters anymore, because I have a journal of letters I'm writing to people to express my feelings, because I don't want to hold on to these feelings, but I also don't want to confront them with it, because if I confront and I'm angry, oh my God, am I angry? And I thought, I don't feel he can handle it. But then I thought, you know what? Whether he can handle it or can't, I have to express myself. I have to tell him exactly how I feel, because this pent-up resentment is really getting to me, and if I don't do something about it now, it's probably going to get far worse in the future, and I must allow myself to express. And whether he is able to understand or not, at least I've let it go. I did it for me, not for him. Although I am disappointed in the reaction that I received, I thought, you know what, I have to let this out. It's funny, do you know what? This time last year, I had the exact same scenario where I had to speak my truth and let out all of my frustrations, anger, whatever resentful feelings I had, but that was towards my manager at work, which is quite funny because the other day, although she doesn't really talk to me because I feel now she's not scared of me, but just trying to avoid me, trying to avoid any confrontation. But we had a bit of a laugh, bit of a chat, and it was okay. We talked about because we had something in common that we found. We did some charity work at a dog's home, not on the same day, but because we were talking about what a lovely experience that was, we had that in common, and we could really bond over the fact that the dogs were so lovely, and that is something that we really are passionate about and we want to do again, with or without work being involved. We would just go there and walk the dogs because it's just such a lovely little thing to do. So anyway, it's crazy how a year ago I could not stand the woman. I told her exactly how I felt and I just let it all out, and she was mortified that I even had the audacity to express myself in that way because she thought she had the upper hand. Now the dynamic between me and my father is completely different because he's a very passive man. He's not confrontational at all. Any confrontation he tries his utmost to avoid, and he's just not that person. But for me, I have a ton of fire in my chart, and I'm not one to hold on to things. I don't like it. I don't like being angry or resentful or any of those emotions towards anybody. And so I felt like, do you know what? You have, and this is a truth, throughout my life, ever since I was little, he has gotten me into situations where he shattered parts of my life, but then left. Well, not left. I mean, he's never left me as in I wasn't able to contact him, but he would just, leave me to pick up the pieces of something that he had done. And I've been just utterly frustrated. Like, he's gotten me in really bad business contracts, and at a very young, naive age that I wasn't, able to defend myself. And he thought it was a good idea for me to sign, and I got myself in a ton of trouble and had to get solicitors involved to get me out of those kind of contracts and find loopholes where he just passively stood by and let me pick up the pieces for the damage that he had caused. And not just with that, but a ton of other areas in my life, it just always leaving me to pick up the pieces. And I felt utterly frustrated and utterly abandoned and saddened. And there have been a ton of other situations where he just couldn't defend me, and I felt helpless and not supported. And that's the thing that disappointed me the most, because I always felt that parents were there to support you and to make you feel safe and cared for. But when there were situations where people really ripped me to shreds, and he was right there, and he was the cause, because I didn't want to visit these people, and he felt, no, let's do the Christian thing, although I'm not religious now. Back in the day, that's how he would manipulate situations, by saying, oh, it's not very Christian of you to not want to forgive people, so let's go and visit them, and let's show them the kindness of our hearts. But really, these people were awful, awful, awful to me, and he couldn't even defend me. This woman was truly bitter about how her life had gone, and felt it was utterly unfair that somehow we were allowed to live an easy life, which I can guarantee you I'd have not had an easy life. But, compared to how she felt her situation had gone, she thought it was utterly unfair, basically, that she'd lost a child and I was allowed to just be here. Of course, why would you ever wish ill on anyone? But the fact that she basically wished me dead, and the fact that my father couldn't defend me, really broke my heart. It disappointed me so much, and I was completely distraught. And I don't feel I was really fully able to forgive him for that, which is why I was so angry the other day when yet another situation that he had caused and he had removed himself from left me to pick up the pieces. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to tell you exactly how I feel, because I am not standing for this anymore. I've put up enough with... I'm getting angry as I talk about it, but I've put up with enough of his utter ignorance. Why am I always the one to repair something that he has caused for my life to fall apart? And that's why I was so angry. And I didn't get the response that I wanted. Same with the manager from last year. She didn't take responsibility. She just tried to pin it all on me and going, well, you may have said those things about that I don't respect you and that, but you do know that I think you're a talented young lady and all this stupid nonsense. Come on now, you're going to call me a young lady? Seriously? So I got a similar, well, actually a worse response. My father was not wanting to confront me at all, and instead just turned his back and started to play the victim and said how upset it made him to my mother. He never said anything to me directly. All I wanted was for him to take some responsibility, and he wouldn't. But now a few days have passed, I'm thinking about it and I feel, do you know what? I don't care. I said my piece. I've let it go. Rather than writing a letter which I felt wasn't sufficient, I told him exactly how he made me feel and how frustrated I was that I'm always left to pick up the pieces for some utter stupidity that he has caused in my life. And he just couldn't take responsibility. And I said, you know, I'm disappointed. I am disappointed. But what more can I do? I've done my part. At least I've expressed myself. I've let it out. All of the years. I mean, yes, for one instance, if this was the only incident that had happened, right, you would have thought, my God, she is overreacting. But for all of the times that I felt let down, not supported, disappointed, it's understandable why I felt that way. And actually, I thought I let him off very easy, you know, for all the times that he had let me down. But yeah, it was crazy. But I felt that this full moon really had that energy of anger. The opposite of how I normally am. I'm normally one for keeping the peace, wanting everyone to get on, you know, being quiet, or at least energetically let people know how I felt through writing my journal letters, but never really confronting. But it's ironic how last year I was made to confront my manager and how this year I'm made to confront my father about these things. I'm hoping that next year will be different. No more confronting, please. I think I've ripped enough people a new one. Anyway, I've also had a ton of clients, you know, who've been working with me. They've been doing the coaching program. It's not a set program as such. It's just whatever we're guided to do for every individual on a case-to-case basis. But one of my clients had the same thing, but with her brother. You know, she's always been trying to support him, trying to do the best for him, but he's taken the mick and he's been super disrespectful to her and her mother, and she just finally let it all out and said how she's not going to be supporting him financially or emotionally anymore because he is just awful. And I said to her, do you know what? Good for you. Because you've held it in for too long. Holding in these emotions, not good. You know, people, I feel, often get too caught up in, oh, if I want to manifest something, I have to be at my highest vibration. I can't be angry, can't have negative emotions. But what I realized, and what I've told many of my clients is, do you know what? We manifest in all states of emotional being at that time. I've manifested a ton of things when I was angry. I've manifested a ton of things when I was depressed. I've manifested a ton of things when I was heartbroken, sad, all the negative emotions, right? Yes, I've manifested things when I've been happy, when I've been joyful, in love, and all of these really good emotions. But what I'm saying is here, You can manifest in whatever state you are. Yes, sometimes when we're dwelling on negative things, we manifest more negativity because we're dwelling on that. But even if I'm angry and I wanted more money, I can get more money because that's what my focus is. It's not the lack of money, it is the getting of more money. And that's why I receive more money even when I'm angry or sad or whatever. So it's your focus, it's not your emotional state necessarily that helps you to manifest. Of course, we all want to be happy and it's better to manifest from a happy place, but this is what I'm saying is you can manifest from any emotional state. So what I'm trying to say with this message is don't hide away from your emotion. Allow yourself to fully embrace every single emotion, but if it feels negative, like anger, allow it to dissipate sooner rather than later. Don't hold on to it because it then becomes, a grudge, which is very negative. You don't want it to be in your energy for longer than it needs to be, but don't shy away from it. I've been shying away from it for too long. Ever since I've been on this spiritual path, ever since I've felt awakened, I thought, oh gosh, sadness, anger, resentment, all of these negative emotions, they shouldn't ever be part of my energy anymore because I am above that. But no, you're not above that. But you can choose to release it sooner rather than later. But feeling it is the key. You must feel it in order to resolve it. And that's what's more important. Don't dismiss your emotions. You must feel everything. That's the whole point. Why would an emotion be there if you were not meant to feel it? Feel it, live it, be it, but don't hold on. That is the key. Don't hold on. But for as long as you are in that emotion, whether that's a second, a minute, 2 minutes, for me it lasted 2 days because it just needed to happen because it was years and years, actually decades of build up. So 2 days compared to decades of build up is actually nothing. So, but allow yourself to live through that and then let it go. Don't hold on. Do not allow it to poison your energy. But it's actually far worse to dismiss these emotions and think you're above them than to just feel them for a very brief moment and deal with them in the best way that you were intuitively guided to do. I know it's been a long video and I've my story has lasted a very long time, but I felt that it was just very important at this time to share this with you because I want my videos to be real. Yes, I want them to be uplifting, but they cannot always be. They cannot always be airy-fairy, beautiful, uplifting videos. Sometimes I do feel down. Sometimes I do feel angry. Sometimes I do feel disappointed. And I want you to know that it's totally fine. You can absolutely feel this way and be okay and still be spiritual and still be on the right path. That's why I've not been posting, because I have had to deal with this stuff, But now that I feel stronger and more myself and more centered and more powerful, now I want to tell you. And now I feel right about, talking about it. So, yeah, crazy. It's been a crazy few days. But anyway, I will be back with a more uplifting message later today, but I just thought I wanted to give you this personal energy update as well as not just personal to me, but many of people I'm working with right now. So I do know it is a collective thing. It's not just purely me who's been going through it. But I want you to understand if you're going through it, it's absolutely fine. Feel everything that you're being guided to feel in the moment, but also realize that letting it go and allowing it to dissipate is going to help you. Because there's nothing worse than holding on to resentment, but feeling anger and resentment is totally normal and fine. You are human after all. You wouldn't have come to this earth if you weren't meant to feel or experience these things, So anyway, I thought I would update you. Oh, and for everyone wondering, I haven't had a full or new moon sale on for a while because with the whole Black Friday thing got in the way, but I will be posting a sale closer to Christmas and the New Year. do keep an eye out on my community page or Instagram if you want to be notified, or sign up to my newsletter and I will personally send you an email to let you know and also offer you some early access to sales too. So, I thank you all so very much for watching. Have a beautiful day. Namaste.